Welcome back, everybody, to Podcast Combat Sports. I'm your host, Frank Palumbo. Episode 17 here. Now, I'm going to get right into some breaking news, unless you're living under a rock right now. Jon Jones has been pulled from UFC 200 main event versus Daniel Cormier for possible doping. It's really very unclear. He's been pulled from the main event. There's something wrong with his sample. They're running the B sample, blood or urine or whatever the hell else they do. But he's out of the main event. So Lesnar versus Hunt is now the 3-round main event for UFC 200. You know, they could have put one of the other title fights in there. Whatever. So Jon Jones, he screws up again. I mean, are we ever going to learn this guy's true potential or what? So who the hell knows what happens there in the future? Now, to be fair, we don't know exactly what the violation was. And with the way that the rules are, it might actually be something that nobody really cares about. Recently, BJ Penn was in violation. Now, there's two things. There's in competition and there's out of competition. Now, the thing that happened with BJ Penn, his violation was the use of an IV. He had an IV out of competition, which basically means not the week before the fight, not during the fight. It was okay for him to have an IV. And when they did the questionnaire, they asked him if he had an IV. He was honest. He said, yes, I did. They asked him how much fluid he took in. He told them it was over the limit. And it wasn't over by very much. So did he do anything wrong? Not really. I mean, to me, it's almost like they told him, well, you drank too much water. So that's kind of stupid. And so I do want to kind of reserve a little bit of judgment here on Jon Jones because his track record isn't great with the alcohol, with the cocaine, and whatever the hell else he's doing that hasn't come out. But I'm kind of at the point where I don't really care what these guys are doing. I just want to see the fights. I don't know if that's selfish or what, but I really don't care that people are on stuff. So now we lose our main event, but we do have the beginning of International Fight Week. Well, the first fight, which is on Fight Pass, probably right now as I'm recording this. Rafael dos Anjos versus Eddie Alvarez. And, we talk about this a little bit with my guest later in this episode, pretty much just the main event, but I want to run through the card real quick. Now, if you have Fight Pass, it's going to be starting 10 p.m., 7 Eastern, so I actually probably have this up just at about the time that this card is starting. So Eddie Alvarez, ranked number 2, he's the Bellator standout, was in a big legal battle with Bellator for a while there, didn't fight for well over a year, had another fight in Bellator, then got released and signed to the UFC. So here he is. So I'm just going to kind of run through a couple of the fights on this card. Anthony Burchak is fighting against Delino Lopez. That is a bantamweight fight. And I mentioned Anthony Burchak because he did fight in St. Albans a couple of years back. I think it was 2011. He fought John Green over at the Combat Fitness Gym in St. Albans, Vermont. He was able to pick up a TKO there, but he's now in the UFC. But he's now in the UFC after a run through Legacy Fighting Championships, where he held the title there for a while. Then moving on is John McDessie out of Canada. He's fighting Mehdi Baghdad in a lightweight bout. And McDessie, he got his, last I saw him, he got his jaw broken by Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Then we got Mike Powell versus Alberto Mina. That's a welterweight bout. Then Irish Joe Duffy fights Mitch Clark. Joe Duffy coming off a war with Dustin Poirier a couple of months back where he dropped a decision there. Very exciting, bloody fight. Showed a lot. I mean, he's obviously an excellent fighter. Then, moving on, we got Alan Jouban versus Bilal Muhammad. Then the co-main event, we got Big Country Roy Nelson fights Derek Lewis, the Black Beast. Coolest nickname probably in the UFC. He's number 12 ranked. Nelson is number 10. And then the main event, Dos Anjos versus Alvarez. And that is all happening tonight on UFC Fight Pass. Now, tomorrow is the Ultimate Fighter finale. And I'll go through that card real quick. Of course, I'm going to go through the whole UFC 200 card with my guest shortly here. So the Ultimate Fighter finale, that's Friday. That also starts at 7 p.m. Eastern. The feature prelim bout there, both on Fox Sports 1, the prelims and the main card. Of course, there's two early prelims on Fight Pass. But the main prelim is Gray Maynard versus Fernando Bruno. Gray Maynard drops to featherweight, 145 pounds. Of course, maybe we'll get another Frankie Edgar fight in the future. Hopefully that works out for him. Rumor had it that he was cutting down from 200 pounds to get to 155. So, you never know how he'll do. He has had some less than stellar performances in the recent past. Then on the main card, Fox Sports 1, Ross Pearson is going to be fighting Will Brooks. Now, Will Brooks was the lightweight champion for Bellator before he got released and came over. And if you haven't seen Will Brooks fight, he's absolutely fantastic. He's fighting Ross Pearson, who, by the way, if you go on UFC.com, he has a very awkward profile picture. Yeah, check that out. Maybe I'll put a link to it. Then in the feature bout is Suarez versus Cooper. That's women's bantamweight. The co-main event is Sanchez versus Roundtree. And, of course, the main event is Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Claudia Gadelha. That's for the women's strawweight championship. And if you haven't seen Joanna fight before, she is a freaking world beater. She bloodied up her last couple of opponents. Actually, she had a close one in her last fight. But prior to that, she bloodied up her opponents and really picked them apart with striking. She's a very good kickboxer with some very good takedown defense. However, a lot of people say that Claudia beat her in the last go-around. So, she could lose the title or, she could show any progress that she's made if she pulls away from Claudia in this fight. So that is Thursday and Friday night's fight cards. Now, I want to get into who I have as a guest. I've been trying to get this person for a couple of months now. He's always been working overtime, but if you are active in this area, then you know Mike DesRosiers. He's at a UFAI, fantastic BJJ fighter. Just great guy. Used to be matchmaker for the Burlington Brawl. He's jumping in there doing grappling matches in Extreme Combat. Just seems about just every other month. And he's got a grappling match next weekend against Brandon Rolls, which is a rematch. But the reason I really wanted to get him ahead of UFC 200 is because he's a hardcore fan. And he knows a hell of a lot about all the fighters. And he has a very interesting, well-educated outlook on the UFC. And we do go through the fight card here. But the other interesting thing about him is all of the memorabilia. I don't know if you follow him on Facebook, but check him out. He's always posting, some really cool things. He's got a lot of fight posters, and I ask him all about this stuff. And he's got some really cool stories. So without further ado, I give you Mike DesRosiers, the Honey Badger from United Fighting Arts Institute, South Burlington. Hey Mike, how you doing?
Pretty good, man.
So what are you up to this weekend? You got anything going on?
This coming weekend, work as always.
You gonna be able to watch any of the festivities?
I might be able to catch some, but a lot of overtime at work.
Now, you're in security still?
Yeah, I do public safety at St. Mike's still.
Okay.
But there's a shitload of overtime going on.
Yeah, can't turn it down?
No. I've been pulling overtime since October of last year. I had to quit my other 2 part-time jobs for it.
How about gym time? How does that affect that?
Actually, I start usually at 9 p.m., so I still have time to teach and get my own workout in between 5 and 8 is usually when I'm doing it.
So, and any competitions coming up for you?
I just had that match against Brandon Rolls in Rutland for next Saturday. He wanted a rematch, so I'm giving it to him.
How did it go last time?
I beat him, I think it was in like the 6th minute by a straight armbar. I think that one was 2 years ago. And I took it on 24 hours notice because his opponent dropped and he had an MMA fight coming up. So
he just wanted to get something in?
Yeah. He wanted a match and I said, okay, cool, I'll do it.
Yeah, I wanted to get your opinions on like UFC 200. Because I've seen before where you post things like, you know, you get a lot of like autographs and memorabilia and stuff like that. So you strike me as like a super fan.
I've been a fan since it first came out. I remember getting it on pay-per-view back in, I think it was 93. That was when the first one came out. And I was watching it, actually. I was a bartender at Bambino's sports bar in South Burlington back when I was there. And they had it, so we were watching it there, and I was just amazed by Hoist, and that's how it just started out.
So, what do you think? What do you think about the changes over the years?
Mostly good. It got dark around, I think it was a UFC 22 through 29 or 30 is when it was almost banned everywhere. So they were just really struggling to keep it alive. I know they pulled it off pay-per-view, and it was only on VHS, and even then it was rare to find those events. And then when Zuffa bought it up, I think it was on 33. I mean, it started off slow, but then it just got out of control. Personally, I think over the last year or two, having as many events as they do, it's kind of watering it down a bit, in my opinion. Yeah. I think they have way too many events, and it's just saturated right now. I used to get really, really excited for UFCs back in the day, but now it's just, I mean, for 200, I'm excited only because of some of the matchups, but other than that, I really just follow it in my news feed, and I don't really get the pay-per-views much anymore.
Yeah, you know, I'll say it's definitely hard keeping up with, you know, all the fighters, all the events, you know, plus the local guys and the local events, because, you know, on the podcast, I always try and do like a little calendar of like, you know, what's coming up, like, say in New York State or Vermont, and, you know, like I try and touch on like stuff in Montreal. So if anybody wants to, you know, travel out there, if it's not too far. But man, there's a lot, and there's a lot of freaking fighters, and it's really hard to keep everything straight.
I agree. I definitely agree with that.
So now, would you say that your favorite fighter is Bas Rutten?
Yeah, I would definitely go with Bas Rutten as number one. I've always liked watching him fight. I mean, even better, his personality is just out of control. Like, he's hilarious.
Yeah, man. You know, his bar fighting video, the street fighting with the chair and everything. I mean, it's just classic.
Yeah, he's got a lot of funny shit out there, and he's a really good trainer also.
Yeah, and you know, I feel like that's kind of like I hear about that the least about who he trains. Like, honestly, I couldn't tell you anybody that's trained under him. You know, not that I'm, you know, really trying. Like, I don't really research him that much, but he does seem to be, you know, pretty much everywhere. You know, he was pretty much the lead in the Here Comes the Boom movie. But you know, he's. Plus Inside MMA, I was watching that, and then I think they moved the time. Now, did you see the thing with him and Michael Bisping back in April?
I don't think I saw that. No.
They kind of had a little argument on Inside MMA. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but I'll post a link to it. I'll post a link to it so everyone can see it. But it was pretty funny, and it seems to be a little more topical now that Bisping won the championship. So yeah, Bas was inducted Hall of Fame last year.
Yeah, he was. I'm surprised that it took him that long to do it, but yeah, I think that he definitely earned that spot, especially out of all his commentary and all the things that he's done, especially back in the day when it was in the dark days.
Yeah, I think he came over somewhere around UFC 20 or so.
It was 18 is when he came over, and then he won against Randleman in 19, I believe it was. I'm staring at the 18 poster right now, so that's when he came over.
You have a copy of it hanging up?
Yep, I have an original of it hanging up.
His fight with Randleman, that was somewhat controversial. It
was. I mean, that could have went either way, definitely. I know that Randleman had him on the ground, and he was on top of him. But they were both active. I mean, Abbas was active from the bottom, but, I mean, Randleman, I was putting pressure on him.
Yeah, when I first watched it, I got UFC Fight Pass about 2 years ago, so I started watching, all the way from like 1, all the way, I think I got up to about 70 something. But I remember watching that fight thinking, wait a minute, didn't Boss win this fight? And I was kind of like, all right, maybe it was a rematch. I when I first watched it, I thought he had lost it. And then, I started, just Googling it, and it was a lot of controversy and everything. But yeah, he was planning on dropping to like, I think back then it was called the middleweight division, but it was like the cutoff was 200 pounds. So yeah, I mean, he was even looking at just dropping down and fighting guys his own size.
He's huge. He's short, but he's big. I met him, and he's just massive.
What other kind of memorabilia do you have? Because I've seen some stuff, some of your pictures and stuff.
Yeah, I've actually sold a bunch of it. I downsized it a bit. It started small, and then I sort of went up from there. Like, I would trade with people, and I actually am friends with the guy who owns he's out of Massachusetts now, I believe, and he has a website that has the biggest MMA memorabilia posters and gloves and all that stuff around. And he actually drove up here and brought me a bunch of stuff for the gym and for my house. And then after that, I just kept on grabbing stuff that I liked. I have a lot of Pride GP posters that are really hard to get a hold of, and a bunch of the earlier UFC posters. And I also have some gloves and belts and stuff like that.
You get some like championship belts?
Yeah. They're both replicas, and they're both signed. They're not the real ones. Mm-hmm. But I have an older one signed by Boss, and I have a newer one signed by Penn.
BJ Penn?
And they're hanging up. Yep.
I heard a while back that John Jones wouldn't sign the replica belts, and he was pissed off at fans.
Yeah, a lot of them went through that. I know that Misha went through that because she was signing stuff and then saw that people were selling it, and she wasn't getting anything out of it. So she basically will only sign on consignments now. So when guys have her over and do a mass signing, and then she'll get a percentage for the signing and all that stuff. A lot of people just stop signing altogether, and then some guys have always been hard to get, like Crow Cops. He is notoriously hard to get to sign things.
Is that really its own market, like signatures?
Yeah. I mean, some guys are just strictly in the posters, and they'll actually get a fighter or even other ring girls or Joe Rogan and stuff, and they'll have them over, and they'll just spend 3 or 4 hours signing things that other people send in. And then the person that put it together will either set it up through the fighters themselves or through their management, and then they'll get a cut. And then the person that put it on, I get a small cut, and then they'll mail everything back out to all the people that mailed stuff into them. I've done that one a couple of times. I sent out some stuff for Boss because there was a mass signing for him. So, yeah, it's a pretty big deal now.
Yeah, I really never thought about the fighters getting paid for their autograph like that.
Yeah. I mean, some of them you can still grab at the events, and they'll be more than happy to sign them. I mean, I got Vitor, I think it was at UFC Revolution. It was back in 2003. I forgot the number of that, but I got him outside of the event. And a lot of them are very happy to get your picture taken with them, and will definitely sign things. But then it's, some people here and there just won't sign certain things, or they can't sign certain things because they're under contract. Or they just don't want to because they know that people are selling them.
What kind of things would they not sign, like contractually?
Some people, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but let's say like, I'll use a Felice Herring. She's sponsored by Alienware. And let's say that somebody brings her something from a different type of computer company. She may not be able to sign that because she's, with Alienware.
Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, stuff like that.
So, yeah, like I've mentioned, I've seen pictures of, I think a couple posters and, some other memorabilia. What's like your prized possession? What's the one thing you're not gonna unload?
Well, actually, right now, hanging up, I'm looking around. I have my a UFC poster of Vitor Belfort back when he fought a guy in Metzger. I got the Boss Root in 18. I have the UFC 94 special edition with Penn and St. Pierre. But I'd say my Pride Grand Prix 04 posters are probably the centerpiece of my collection.
Yeah, that was a pretty epic event.
Yeah, and there's actually a series of 4 posters for him for the first, second, third, and final rounds. And some of the original ones, say about 3 or 4 years ago, for a blank one without any signatures on them, a size B2 would probably be about $1,500 out of $2,000 each.
Wow. Yeah, that's not bad.
I know the Pride posters came in 3 sizes. There's B3, which is the smallest, B2, which is a regular, and then B1, which are the larger ones. There is a couple of the B0s, and they use those for subways, and they were just huge posters, and those were really expensive. And the Prides are really hard to get because most of them are hung over in Japan, obviously. Now
Yeah.
that Pride isn't around anymore. All these posters are just, going from hand to hand, from collector to collector. So, and the UFC owns all the images now, and there was talk that they were going to re-release them, and if they do that, I think they're going to be everywhere, and the price is really going to drop on them.
Huh.
Yeah. But I just like how they look, so I wasn't really in it for the money aspect of it. I just like the images of them.
Yeah, it was definitely a different style poster. They really, it kind of seems like the ones they got now are out of a can. And, then there's that one where they do the writing on everyone's faces, which, I don't know. I don't love that one, but I like the way they spoof it. Yeah.
Yeah. I know the UFC had some good ones that came out. But the Pride ones, some of them were just insane. Like the Grand Prix 04, it's called the breastfeeding one. And it's a baby actually breastfeeding on a woman, and that was the poster.
Oh, really?
Sperm on it, yep. And there's one that has sperm on it. I have it here hanging up. I'm just trying to see which event it was. I think it was 34, so Pride 34. And it's just a bunch of sperm swimming towards an egg. And then there's one that has sharks on it. It's just random shit on it.
Yeah, that kind of seems pretty random for a freaking fight event. I'm Googling this right now because I've never seen this before.
Yeah. Pride had a lot of crazy posters, and everyone just loves collecting those ones. I think it was Pride 30 and up, like 30 after the Grand Prix is when they started getting really good like that.
I'm really not getting much on my Google search here.
Yeah, if you look up Pride Grand Prix 04 in the images, and if you type in the breastfeeding one, then you'll see that one, I'm sure. I'm trying to think of the one. I can't really see it from here, but it was definitely in the 30s.
Okay, yeah, I got the breastfeeding one.
Okay, see, the sperm actually is the Pride Grand Prix 2006 open weight tournament. So that's the sperm one. And then the shark one was Pride 29. I just got out to look at them, so.
That's pretty funny. Grand Prix 2006.
Yep. I think that one had 2 posters, or 3. One of them is a mountain that's upside down, and then the sperm one. Well, there might have been a third one for that, but.
Oh my God. Oh, that's the first time I've seen this. That is so freaking funny.
Yeah.
Oh my
Probably a
God.
bunch of crazy ones.
There's a Shark 1 survival.
All the ones before that had like Sakuraba on them or TK or all of the famous Japanese fighters on them. And then they started doing that stuff.
Oh, man, I'm going to start spoofing these for Kathy's event.
You should.
That's going to be so freaking funny.
Yeah.
All right.
But those are the good ones to get for posting.
Speaking of spoofs, I caught a couple of those memes you made for that particular fighter that didn't show up last weekend.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
that drives me nuts.
You get any blowback from those? You get people questioning you, why the hell are you doing this?
No, not really. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had a couple people. One guy in particular, he saw that I was doing it. Because usually when someone drops or doesn't show up, I think Kathy actually pulls them out of the fighter page. And I only put them up on the fighter page so only fighters can see them. So the public can't see them, And I actually had one guy saying, hey, I am going to fight. Here's what happened, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, I will talk to Kathy and take care of it. And, of course, he never fixed that problem. But, I mean, back when I was doing the brawl, I had guys dropping left and right. A lot of them were actual medical reasons, or something did happen. Others were just basically no-shows and guys who wanted to post all the posters saying that they were going to fight and that they're training to fight, but they never really had any intention at all to fight. And then the worst thing to do is people that show up at weigh-ins and then don't show up to the fight. And I actually had that happen at one of the Barry brawls, and then there was one after that. And I know that Kathy's had it happen to her also, and it's a pain in the ass. I mean, the other guy has been working the whole time. His family and friends are there, waiting to watch the fight, and the guy weighed in, so nobody thinks anything about it, and then all of a sudden, they're not there.
Yeah, that's crazy. Weighing in and then not showing. I think that's happened twice this year with Kathy. It's crazy.
I think it was Missy. I was one in Barry. She showed up for weigh-ins, and then she just didn't show up to fight later. And then this last one, I don't know the kid's name, but yeah, same thing. Same exact thing.
Yeah, man, I remember, I think the first time I signed up to fight, you were the matchmaker for the brawl, and I kind of expected, a change of opponents, but I think I maybe had 3 different opponents, and then you finally matched me up with somebody about 2 weeks before, and that fight happened. But yeah, it's good memories, and there was tops 4 fights a year, and yeah, the auditorium was pretty packed.
Yeah, I think it was a second brawl was our biggest one, and I think it was 1,450 people for that one. It was either 1,400 or 1,800, and it holds a 2,200, and it was packed. It was so packed in there.
So what do you think it would take to get back to breaking 1,000 spectators?
I mean, getting the right people on the card, and also, I mean, the same thing with the UFC. It's just events are everywhere now, and it's not. I guess it's not as big of a taboo thing anymore. But I mean, it's basically all about the fighters pushing their fights, and getting their friends, and I mean, just helping to get the word out. And I know that some guys and girls, fighters, they don't really push their fights that much, And I mean, if Kathy is going to keep on having events, or basically anybody, I mean, they do have to sell tickets. They do, because it's not cheap to run the shows.
Yeah,
and
it's really
that
not.
auditorium packed. I mean, it would have to be a sizable show. I mean, I know what the rent was, and the insurance and all that, and the auditorium's not cheap. It's not cheap, and they raised all the prices, I think, after like the 3rd or 4th brawl.
Let's see. How about you want to talk about UFC 200 a little bit? I mean, how much time do you have?
I mean, as much as you want.
Okay. let's start at the top of the page, I guess. Jones Cormier, what do you think?
Well, I can't really stand Jones. DC also has a chip on his shoulder. I'm not really a fan of either one. I actually like, I always liked Alexander Gustafsson. I mean, he fights like an animal, and he seems like the nicest guy. But for Jones and DC, Jones has had some time off. Against OSP, he looked different. I mean, he went all 5 rounds with OSP. DC has been on the upswing lately. I mean, Rumble, he put away. He looked really good against Alexander also.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a pretty good fight. It could go either way. I say it's going to all depend on if Jones got all that rust out of his system against OSP or not. I mean, he's a really good athlete, and he hasn't been stopped yet. So I'm going to say Jones unless he's still rusty as hell.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jones. I kind of think it's a no-brainer. I think whatever Cormier is going to bring, Jones is going to rise to the occasion. So Cormier could go, potentially, say his Gustafsson performance was a 10 out of 10. If he brings a 10 out of 10 or more, I think Jones is just a couple of steps ahead. So Lesnar Hunt, how long is it going to last?
It's going to be round 1 unless it's a fix, which, I mean, fixes have happened in the UFC. I don't know if it will happen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. On the first fix, that was actually Severn and I can't think of his name. It was way back. How was his name? Anthony Macias, I think. That was a fix. And then there was Oleg, and also Anthony was a fix. Those were way back in the day. But I think that Hunt is just going to knock his head off. That's what I think.
Well, just to jump in on the fix, Silva, Anderson Silva, and Forrest Griffin, was that a fix?
I don't think so. If you watch that matchup, and if you watch Forrest getting hit, he was just getting picked apart. When he fell, I mean, he was just... I don't think that was a fix. I think that he just got way, way outclassed and got so frustrated with himself that he just gave up.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, could it be? Sure. But I just think that he just got handled and just frustrated with himself.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that, but I do remember just looking at that fight and saying, okay, that's a fix. And it was a time, I think that was right after the Damian Maia fight, or close to, and like Silva was villainized, so I kind of felt like that was them trying to bring him back into good graces.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been, but I mean, I think that Forrest got handled and he just got frustrated and just gave up on that one.
Yeah, could have been. All right. Tate and Nunes.
We are now Tate.
Tate and Nunes, yeah.
I have always been a Tate fan. She fights exactly like Eddie Alvarez. She's just like a dog in there. The more that you hit her, the more that she comes back. She can take punishment. I'm going to say that Tate is just going to take it. I think that she's just going to either bring it down to the ground or she's just going to turn it into a dogfight with her.
Yeah, barring being shocked, I think Tate's got her probably on the feet and most definitely on the ground. Okay, here's the fight that I'm looking forward to the most is Aldo versus Edgar.
Yeah, that's going to be a battle. It's definitely Edgar's turn, definitely. I mean, the first fight was great. Frankie's fast. I just like Jose. And honestly, I don't know what Jose's head is after the whole Conor thing. So he's going to go in there pissed off and focused, or he's just going to be broken. I'm not sure which one it's going to be. So that one's going to be close. I hope that Frankie gets it. I really do.
Yeah, I'm pulling for Edgar. I think the Conor fight is going to take a toll on Aldo. I think Frankie's got more ways to win. You know, he's finished a couple of guys in his last fights. He's got a possibility to finish Aldo, but you know, especially considering, you know, it's hard to come back from a knockout like that. But wouldn't be surprised if he, you know, if Aldo won a close decision either. But I'm definitely pulling for Edgar. How about last one on the main card is Velasquez Brown. What do you think of that?
That one I'm not really interested in. I mean, Brown's been doing very well lately, but he can be beat. Kane, ever since he lost, he's kind of lost a few steps, but I think that he's still going to win. I think he needs to win in order to get his confidence back up again. But I think that he is probably going to win either in the first or second round against Travis.
Yeah, I think Velasquez is going to win it. I think he's more than likely hurt, but has to fight anyway. But you know, there's Travis Brown, his striking coach. You know, he's got a lot of buzz lately.
Yeah.
So,
remember when Overeem just rocked him, and then he just came right back on that. But yeah, his striking's definitely gotten better.
You want to go rapid fire through the rest of them? Zingano Pena.
It all depends on her rust, because she's been out for a while.
Yeah, she has.
I mean, I hope Kat wins. I'd like to see Kat and Misha again, because that was a war the first time. I think that was an early stop the first time they went. Definitely. Because Misha was down there shooting, and then they stopped it, and she was like, why'd you stop it? So.
Yeah, and we haven't seen that ref since.
Yeah, that was a war. Those two were really beating the crap out of each other. So, I hope that Cat wins.
Hendricks Gastelum.
Hendricks needs to win. I think he'll get it, but it won't be that easy for him.
I think Gastelum there.
Oh yeah, it's definitely possible. Definitely possible. It all depends on how Hendricks comes into it.
Dillashaw Asunciao.
I'm gonna go with Dillashaw.
Yeah, now hasn't he? I think he's lost to Asunciao. Well, a couple of years ago, but you know, there's that. he's solved the puzzle once. Now. Yeah, he certainly has. Northcutt Marin.
I'm not really interested in that one. I mean, I know that Dana wants Sage to win. But I mean, if he's anything like he was in his last fight, tapping into that arm triangle that was horrendous, then I don't think he's going to win. But
yeah, this one I honestly I don't think I've ever heard of Marin before, Enrique Marin. So, I mean, I'm going to kind of follow the hype train on that one, but I really don't have an opinion.
Yeah.
Sanchez Lauzon.
That's going to be a good fight. I think that Lauzon, he can definitely pull out the win any way that he wants to. I mean, he's got so many fight of the nights and a submission of the nights. I think he can do it. Diego's been on the downslope lately, but watching some of the videos of his recent training, he looks like he's starting to do what he did before. I'm just getting in the right mindset for it. Because he's done some crazy crap lately in his fight, so I'm going to go with Lauzon.
I'm kind of leaning towards Sanchez on that one, but I'm not really pulling for either guy either, but I think Sanchez on that one. How about Musashi and Santos?
Maybe Santos.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Wow, I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that one. I was actually kind of surprised they put Gegard on UFC 200. He just seems to be so dry and so straight-faced. I mean, he's a hell of a fighter, though. All right, last one. Miller and Takanori Gomi. That's gonna be
another dog fight. I mean, Miller throws and Gomi throws. I don't know when Gomi fought last. I don't think it was that long ago. But I mean, he's on the downslope of his career, definitely. I mean, he's still throwing the bombs, but he gasses out so fast now. I'm going to say probably if it goes past halfway of the first round, I think he's just going to lose steam and knows when to take it.
All right. And let's see, there's two other title fights. We got the 155. That's
Alvarez and
Dos Anjos.
Yeah, okay. I've always liked Alvarez. Actually, I went to the UFC in Boston. I was with my girlfriend and her family, and it was Alvarez and oh my God, why am I blanking on names? Pettis. And I actually bet on Alvarez, and Alvarez won it by, I think it was split a decision, but he's just a dog fighter. Like, he just mixes it up, and he has a really good chance of winning this. I mean, he's the underdog, but I'm going to have to go with Eddie on it.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Eddie Alvarez. You know, the rumors about Dos Anjos and the PEDs, you know, if that catches up to him, then, you know, if he's not on the stuff, then Alvarez, he's been so consistent. So slight edge to Alvarez. And how about Joanna versus Claudia Gadelha?
Joanna and Claudia. I think the very first fight, I would have given it to Claudia. I've watched it a bunch of times, and I would definitely have given her that first one. And I mean, even just watching The Ultimate Fighter, and I just hear him go back and forth. Joanna's trying to get up in her head, and it's not really working. And Claudia's just huge for her weight. She's just huge. So on the feet, obviously, Joanna's faster, but Claudia was nailing her last time pretty well. On the ground, Claudia, hands down, is favored down there. I mean, she's a black belt now in BJJ, and she was just a dumping Joanna last time in their fight. So I'm going to have to go with Claudia on this one, I think.
Yeah, I know that the last one was super close, but man, Joanna with her freaking takedown defense against what's her name there, the Cookie Monster girl.
Oh yeah, why am I spacing on all these names today, Frank? Jesus.
Yeah, no, me too.
Christ. Yeah, I know you're talking about, but yeah, she couldn't get her down. But I mean, I know when she fought Claudia that time, Claudia got her down a bunch of times, especially in the later rounds.
Let's see what else we got coming up here. Do you know who's main event for XCP next week?
I don't off the top of my head. I can visualize the poster, but I don't remember who it is. I want to say Spellman, but I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong on that. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's hard to keep up also on who has the belts over there, too. I know that I'm pumped to see our guy Kevin Lilly fighting a TJ for that belt. I think that's in December.
The summer, you said?
Yeah, I think that's going to be on the Burlington one. I'm not 100%, but I know they are going to be matched up. He's going to sell that fight.
Yeah, I think so.
He loves talking shit on there, but I mean, in person, he's very respectful, nice guy. He just likes selling the fights. Loves it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, he does a good freaking job when he can back it up.
Yeah. Kevin's just an animal, though. Like, he's in our gym every day, and he's a monster.
Is that Kevin Lilly?
Yeah, he is a monster. None of his fights have gotten out of the first round that he's had.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's just explosive, and I mean, he's had some time off because he had a daughter, but he's coming back with a vengeance. He's been straight out now at our gym for, I think, 4 months back into the mix. He was supposed to fight this last weekend, but he had his first guy pulled out, and then his second guy pulled out, and then they couldn't find him a third.
And is that going to be a featherweight, or is that a bantamweight?
I think that's going to be a 45. I'm pretty sure 45.
Uh-huh.
I know that TJ goes to 35, and then Kevin cuts down to 45. So I think that Kevin's going to be a lot bigger. But TJ, I mean, he's also good, so I'm pumped to see that fight. That'll be a good fight.
And who else from UFAI has got fights coming up?
Let's see. I know Jarrett. I can never say his last name right.
Is it Mounier?
Yep, Mounier. He's supposed to fight in New York. It's either this weekend or next weekend. But that's a tie fight.
Cage combat?
Yes. And then Kevin had one for last weekend, but that one it didn't go through. He's got another one before December lined up. I don't know which one, and I don't know who's. It's against Dakota, but I don't know which event that is. So he's going to fight Dakota.
Who'd you gear?
Yeah, and then he's fighting TJ in December. And against Dakota, that's going to be a good one also, because he's gritty as hell too.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
And then I've been talking to Kathy because she's been looking for fighters over 40, and I told her that I'll rather go again. So I'll see what she can find.
Yeah, give me a couple of years, I might get back in there in the 40 and over division.
Yeah. I don't want to fight somebody in their 20s because I don't have that kind of cardio. I have really good cardio, but I know damn well I don't have 20-something-year-old cardio.
Yeah, man, it's something different. It really is.
Yep, it definitely is.
Well, hell, I got that beach tournament coming up, and I got a 30 and up division, and I'm thinking about doing a gi top division. That way, all you jiu-jitsu players can come in and, at least grab a hold of the freaking gi.
Right.
So.
We're a bunch of no-gears over at our place, though, so I don't mind that.
Good. You guys got to get out, get your feet in the sand, get some practice, and come over, and should be a good day.
Yeah. It looks awesome.
That's something different,
Yeah. Different's good. Outside's good.
Yeah.
And a beach is always good.
And there's a bar right on the freaking beach.
And bars are good also.
Oh, man, it's going to be it'll be a good day. It'll be a good evening, too.
Yeah, I bet. It's always a good evening after fights.
Yeah.
All the guys I haven't drank for like a month or two just unloading.
I don't know, man. You got anything else you wanna advertise or plug or anything?
Not that I can think of. Let's see. I know on the weekends, my blue belt Gavin and my purple belt Laura, they have an outside rolling thing, sort of like the beach wrestling. That you have coming up down at the Burlington waterfront on Saturdays and Sundays, and that's open to any schools. I know we have a ton of people that go, usually between 30 and 40 people from all over. Also guys came down from Montreal. Actually had a guy who fights in Bellator. He showed up a couple of weeks ago. He's a black belt under Kurt Pellegrino, and I rolled with him for a while, and he was a really nice guy. So it's just open to anybody. It's no cost, no politics. It's just having fun out there. And that's on Saturdays and Sundays from 4 to 7 now.
Yeah, Laura is actually on my list of people to get on the podcast. I don't know if I've ever met her before. Has she been around like the MMA scene?
Not really, no. No, I know she's been to a couple shows to watch, but I mean she doesn't fight. Yeah. The only female fighter is Meg, and she was actually looking for a fight for the summer, but all the girls that Kathy have are at like 115, and she would have to cut off her leg to get to 115.
Yeah, but come on, you can always do catch weights.
Yeah, I mean, I should actually try getting a catch weight with Kat again, because they fought the first time, and that was at a catch weight of I think it was 120. But I mean, now she won't go to 120 anymore, and won't stay at 115. So we're trying. Well,
there's that other girl, Walker, who she beat Kat over the weekend.
Yeah, Alex. Actually, they were going to do it. Alex agreed to a catch weight, and then she went for the title with Kat. And now Meg is actually she'll be heading off to school for 18 months, so she won't be able to get a fight as easily now for training wise and all that.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, something to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So, and you said you teach your classes over there. What days?
I teach over at UFAI. It'll be Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays from 6 to 7. Our no-gi is Monday and Thursday from 6 to 7. Our gi classes are Tuesday and Friday from 6 to 7. And then we also just barely started up some day classes that one of my purple belts, Miles, is teaching. I'm not sure on the times. I want to say 7 to 8 or it's 8 to 9. I'm not sure. And then Gavin is actually teaching also in the afternoons now, I think, for military and first responders, so police officers, EMTs, and stuff like that. And I think that's around noon. I could be wrong on that time. And then finally, we have a beginner no-gi class on Wednesdays, and Laura teaches that, and that's from 6 to 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I'll get a link and I'll put it in the show notes with the address for United Fighting Arts Institute, Burlington, South Burlington, Vermont.
Yep.
All right.
We used to also have fights, but not anymore.
Yeah. No plans for the future for Gym Wars?
No, actually, we did Gym Wars for a while, and everybody loved it. I mean, it was just smaller, it was a great starter venue, but it just got to the point where it was just saturated. XCP is having a lot of events now. And me and crew also did a Mayhem Fight Nights then, once a year. And then just having other Gym Wars on top of it, it was just too much. So we just stopped doing the Gym Wars and then just, I left it open.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on and, giving me an hour of your day.
Yeah. If I ever have time off, I don't mind at all.
Well, thank you very much. I'll see if I can get this out hopefully by tomorrow.
All right, cool.
All right, man. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right, there you have it. Mike DesRosiers from UFAI in South Burlington. Mike, thanks a lot for coming on. I knew Mike was going to have some good stories, and I really enjoyed talking to him. Mike was one of the first guys that I interacted with when I first started getting into mixed martial arts in 2010. I had done the Vermont Open over in Burlington, and then I created a MySpace account because I thought that was the only way to get a hold of the matchmaker for the Burlington Brawl. So I contacted Mike through that, and I think shortly after I learned that everything had moved to Facebook. So I created a Facebook account just so that I could try and get a fight in the Burlington Brawl. So that is how I came to meet Mike DesRosiers. Set me up with my first fight. I came in so light. I came in well under the 155 limit that he started matching me up at 145. And I was so tired of cutting weight from wrestling, and he just signed me up knowing that I would make the weight, and I did. A lot of history there with Mike DesRosiers. Went over to UFAI a couple of times for some open grappling on Sunday evenings, and Mike just treats you real well. He grapples with everybody, and the UFAI is known for good competitive guys. Those guys being well prepared. So, Mike, thank you very much for coming on. Much respect to you and UFAI, and, of course, Chris Ballard, who run the show out there. All right, next thing, going to go back to the calendar. As I record this right now, the Ultimate Fighter finale is on. Gray Maynard just won a decision. Spoiler alert. So we got UFC 200. Next week, we got Extreme Combat Rutland. That's the one that Mike will be grappling on against Brandon Rolls. Then the week after, that week, July 16th to the 23rd, is the Fargo Wrestling Tournament. That's the Schoolboy, Cadet, and Junior National Tournament for freestyle and Greco-Roman. Now, if you're not familiar with flowwrestling.com, check that out, or at least subscribe to them on Twitter. Follow them on Twitter so you get all the updates. The Junior Nationals are the toughest high school tournament. Well, historically has been the toughest high school tournament, but now they have what's known as the Super Tournament. You got the Super 32, you got the Virginia Beach Nationals, but Fargo is usually one of the tougher, if not the toughest, high school tournaments in the country for high school age kids. It's just a meat grinder. If you do freestyle and Greco-Roman, you could have 25 matches over the course of 4 days, 5 days, and hell, they could all be real tough. So a lot of NCAA champions and All-Americans and everything come out of that. So if you're into wrestling, check that out. Check out Flow Wrestling. They'll keep you updated. Saturday, July 23rd, we got Kaged Combat 27. That features Albert Tulley. I believe he's going for the welterweight, if not lightweight, championship belt there. Then that brings us to Saturday, July 30th. That's going to be my beach wrestling tournament that we're hosting here at Plattsburgh City Beach, 3 Beach Road, Plattsburgh, New York. If you're familiar with the Crate Center, it's right down the block from the Vermont Ferry. That's where it's going to be held. More on that. I'll get back to that shortly because I want to let everybody know about the links. Then the week after that, August 6th, we got Extreme Combat Williamstown. The week after that, Saturday, August 13th, we've got Coliseum Fighting Alliance. That's going to be in Latham, New York. Also, that kicks off the Olympics. We're going to be getting into the Olympic territory. I know Olympic wrestling starts August 14th. And I'll probably get into a little breakdown of all of the wrestling competitors there. Then, August 20th, in Watertown, New York, we have Victory Cage Fighting Championships, the Northeast MMA Championships. I know Victory does, just an awesome job, and they put on a great show. Also that weekend is Whitehall Athletic Club, also August 20th. Dominic Gildersleeve is now promoting that, so there's a lot going on there. If you're not following Dominic, check him out. He's going around and he's making the rounds and really getting a hold of people. I kind of like what he's doing. September 3rd, we have Extreme Combat Lyndonville. Then the week after that, September 10th, we have Extreme Combat Rouses Point. That'll be a good one. I just heard that a buddy of mine, Zach Ayotte, is going to be fighting on that. I think he's fighting TJ George. He's wanted that fight for well over a year, but a lot's happened with TJ in the last year. So, that's going to be a good one. And then the last thing I have on the calendar is Whitehall Athletic Club, November 12th, and I do believe that Kathy, with Extreme Combat, is planning her big December show, and that is usually in Burlington. So more details on that. But we got some time. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about was a little bit more about the beach wrestling tournament. I now have registration open. Everything is coming in. I've got all the awards ordered, and we actually just got the Absolute Division Grand Champion Trophy. There's only one trophy going out, and that's to the Grand Champion. So if you're in the Varsity Division, the Open Division, or the 30 and up division, if you win your weight class, you get entered into the Absolute Division. And winner take all, you bring home the trophy. Now, for more information on the tournament, I have a Facebook event going, and it's just Plattsburgh Beach Wrestling Tournament. Okay, wherever you find the link for this show, you should find a link for the event page. But also you can check out PCS MMA on Facebook and Twitter. That will bring you to a link. I have online registration at planetreg.com/PCSBeach. I'll put that link here in the show notes. And for listeners of this show, I'm going to give you a 10% discount to the first 15 people who register online and enter the coupon code podcast. And that will give you 10% off on your first division. Now, I have a couple of divisions. If you want to enter one division or 2 weight classes, you can do that. If you want to enter 2 different age groups, like say you're in high school, you want to enter the varsity division, but you also want to wrestle the 20-somethings, you can enter that open division too for an extra fee. So you'll be in your age division and the age division above, and your weigh-in will carry over. So you can do both divisions and you can do 2 weight classes. So you can technically enter up to 4 tournaments in this one event. So those links again, PCS MMA on Facebook. That'll bring you to our event page, Plattsburgh Beach Wrestling Tournament. And online registration is planetreg.com/PCSBeach. And don't forget about that promo code podcast for the first 15 listeners that register online. And the last thing I'm going to touch on that is on Tuesday, July 12th, we're going to have a practice event, a little practice and rules clinic over at the City Beach starting at 6 p.m. So all are welcome. It'll be completely free. There is a parking fee for non-Plattsburgh City residents. But, if you go late enough in the evening, they may not have anybody there. So it'll be all are welcome, and it'll be completely free. And if you want to, you can even register on site with me there. All right, so I'm going to wrap this up and go watch some fights here. The tough finale, Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Claudia Gadelha for the women's 115-pound division. I hope you all enjoy your UFC 200 weekend and the wrap-up of International Fight Week. Next week, I have Scott DeMonda from WarriorInstinctMMA.com. You are not going to want to miss that one, so subscribe to the podcast on SoundCloud and iTunes, PCS MMA. Plus, I got a video coming out with Tommy Guns Marcelino where we do a little commentary and breakdown of his fight at World Series of Fighting 31, so those will be coming out soon. Check out the YouTube channel for that, PCS MMA on YouTube. All right, that's the end of this week. Enjoy your weekend, and I will see you next week. Ciao, Literatori.